And Phantom, Ginger, Gurvinder, Andrew, other Andrew, what's going on? Phantom is the future of money, and my prediction is that that is a very stupid comment. But let's get right into it here. Very boring day, obviously. I hope you guys didn't overtrade. You listened in the morning. It was very obvious right from the opening bell they weren't going to do much today. We had a big gap down this morning, and I didn't think we were going to snap right back. There's no good news or nothing that could come out that would snap us right back to highs. So basically what we did was just chop around all day. Everyone seen these two green candles. They got in calls. They got screwed after about 10 minutes unless they sold for 10-15%. End of the day there was a little nice move here, but I mean, again, we basically just went back to the high of regular trading hours, which is still a far way down from Friday's close. Friday's lows were at 458 and we closed around 455 today. So in the overall bigger picture, it's just chop. It's just sideways. What's up, Ricky? I hope you guys sat on your hands a lot. I know it's hard sometimes, but this whole trading thing, you don't need to make money every day. And the best part, the way you're going to make your account grow the most is to know when to trade and when not to trade. And today was definitely not an over trading day. So SPY, what I was looking at earlier, so when I'm not trading, usually I'm looking at charts, doing research, like looking at companies that I like. And I was just thinking about what happened back here in September and October in SPY. So September, obviously the 19th of every month is usually OPEX. 19th September was a Sunday, so 20th September would have been OPEX, the day after OPEX. So this Friday right here was OPEX. We closed right above the 50-day moving average, and the next day we gapped down and we bounced for 4 days. Very similar to what happened this week. Last Friday we had OPEX. We closed just above the 50-day moving average, or just around the 50-day moving average, and today we gapped down big. Does that mark the bottom? Do we get a 4-day bounce now? That's the question. So if we are green today, I would be looking for the same type of scenario where we bounce 3 or 4 days in SPY, but we do not get back to the highs. So if we don't get back to the highs, if we just go and test the 50-day moving average again, we may roll over and put in new lower lows. So just keep that in mind. It doesn't have to be the exact same pattern. It's just something to watch out for. So basically I'm saying is if we bounce tomorrow, we should be good for a 2 or 3 day bounce on SPY. I'm not saying we get back to all-time highs. I'm just saying just watch it for a rollover into lower lows. So let's watch what happens tomorrow. Obviously today, big gap down, got a lot of stuff oversold. Little end of the day rip there, cooled off the RSIs and everything. So in my opinion, if I had to guess, if someone made me guess, I would guess that we have a 2 or 3 day bounce. But we get nowhere near all-time highs and we roll over and lose the lows again. So let's see what happens tomorrow. We did enter a few calls just for a little gap up possibility tomorrow, just because we were so oversold over the weekend and such a big gap down. QQQ closed high of the day. Oh no, we closed near high of the day. After hours, we're going to high of day. On the daily here on QQQ, we do have this huge channel that I've been watching for weeks. Just a weekly channel here, and now we're right near the bottom of the channel, guys. So today's low was 377.47 and the channel low is around the same spot. So based on what you... Hello to you too, Vlad. So based on how you drew your channel, it could be at the bottom of the channel, it could be very near the channel. Again, if SPY is to bounce like it did in September over here for 3-4 days, while not even getting close to all-time highs and then rolling over, making the new lows, that is the most likely situation in my opinion. But if we are to do that, then obviously QQQ is matching up with this weekly channel as well here. I know it's a little messy here. I can't get rid of these lines yet. There's a bunch of support and resistances there. And let's see what QQQ does. If SPY bounces, QQQ is probably going to go with it. So let's move on to the XLF here. XLF really didn't prove anything. Gap down today. Touched the 200-day, and there was some buying off the 200-day here. So the 200-day moving average on XLF is at 37.25. Today's low was 37.21, and they ended it on a hammer candle. So it looks like they were buying it off the 200-day. So another stock to watch just based on that chart is this Goldman Sachs. So Goldman Sachs actually gapped underneath its 200-day today. They have earnings in January. January 18th is their earnings. So it might not be a bad idea to start picking up some farther out calls for Goldman Sachs. I doubt it stays under the 200-day for very long. If you guys zoom out on Goldman Sachs, it hasn't been under the 200-day since October of 2020. So this stock does not like being underneath the 200-day unless there's a huge financial crash or something. I doubt Goldman Sachs is going to go to, like, it's not going to crash. It's a solid company. They pay dividends. They don't move much. And this big of a gap down is usually for buying on banks. I do like Goldman Sachs. As soon as we cross back over the 200-day, I will probably get involved in this name as well, which is at 374.40. So 374.40 trades on Goldman Sachs. I'll probably take some late Jan calls, but not until we get back over that 200-day. All right. So that would be my plan on Goldman Sachs into an earnings run up there, just based on the XLF holding the 200-day and based on Goldman Sachs does not like to stay under the 200-day very much. IWM here, nice daily candle. Obviously, we closed red, I guess. We closed red by 1 cent. So we opened at 212.09. We closed at 212.08. So basically a hammer candle. Other than that, I mean, the morning was obviously we're still well below Friday. We did close near the high of the day, which is nice. So if a bounce is to get started, IWM should bounce here. But again, the longer term trend, there is a huge support line here, and I just want to stay above it. As long as it's below it, I think we are below it. Yeah, we're below that support line right now, depending on how you draw the channel, right? Some people drew it sideways, some people drew it ascending like this, like I did. It just and still another thing to keep an eye on IWM is the stock or the price is going lower and lower, but the RSI is going up. So you see how it put in a low here, and then it put in a lower low here, but the RSI here put in a low back there, and now it's starting to move up. So that's called RSI bullish divergence, which means the price is going down, but the momentum is showing that it wants to move up. So keep an eye on that IWM. If we do get a reversal, this one should make a big move just because of how beat up it is, and there's a huge support here. What's up, Phil? How you doing? So it's just wait and watch mode right now, guys. It's not like anyone that tells you there's going to be a Santa Claus rally, anyone that tells you there's not going to be a Santa Claus rally, there's no way to tell right now. It could be either or. We're still kind of in no man's land, in my opinion. We have to wait and watch. And once we do get a signal, that's where we're going to go heavy and we're going to crush it. So just be patient, wait for the opportunity. For right now, I'm just trading small. Some of them hit, some of them don't. It's small, right? But when it's time to press on the gas, we'll be here. ES, I had 45.50, 45.20, and 4,500 as supports here. This morning, over the weekend, we took out 45.50. Today, we took out 45.20 pretty easily here. I mean, it barely stuck to it the first time, came down, didn't touch quite 45.20, went back up, bounced to 45.50, dangled around there for a bit, came back down, touched it. So tomorrow, the key support to watch is 45.50, then 45.20. If those two supports continue to hold, we could make a move back up to 4,600. Other than that, nothing much to see here. Bitcoin strong today. That's been a long time since I said something like that. Obviously, I had this support line drawn for a long time. There's a 200-day. And the thing about Bitcoin right here is, I know it's underneath the 200-day. I know everyone's bearish. Everyone thinks it's going, well, it's actually over the 200-day right now. But when sellers smack a stock down to the 200-day and then it just kind of dangles around there, there's two possible scenarios. It's either they're running out of selling pressure, or too many people are buying that they cannot take the stock down anymore. So whichever way this resolves, this little channel on Bitcoin, it should be the short-term price action on it. But until we break above this top trend line or below this bottom trend line, I don't think there's a play on Bitcoin either. It's just gambling at this point. I don't know if it goes up. I don't know if it goes down. But today was strong. So it's good to see some kind of strength in Bitcoin. And what I've been noticing lately on Bitcoin is a lot of the stock movements have followed Bitcoin movements. So Bitcoin doing all this dumping, and like even on the Fed day, when Powell started talking, Bitcoin ripped up first and then SPY followed. I don't know if you guys remember in the premium chat, but I was watching them side to side. So let's keep an eye on Bitcoin overnight. Depending on what it does, might be a little signal about what the market's going to do tomorrow. So just keep an eye on that one. Walmart, I have an alert set. I am going to get back in this one. So as you guys know, 135, we bought 140 calls, sold those for 100%. Bought 150 calls, sold those for 100%. Bought 155 calls, bought those, sold those for 80% within like 10 cents of the top. So why did we sell them? Obviously, Walmart ripped for 5 days straight. It's a value stock. Usually they don't rip like that. Pulled back. I was waiting for it to start consolidating. I had all these lines drawn here from last week, guys. You guys remember. When it puts in a low, it's not going to go straight to the highs. It's going to either go up and then consolidate either sideways and then rip up, or consolidate downwards and then rip up, or it could just come down and test 135. But with the strength I seen today, obviously there's not enough volume to prove that strength. But tomorrow, if we take out today's high, which is 139.75, I have my alert set. I'll probably jump back in the 145s or the 150 calls on Walmart, and we'll try to rip this again. If they're trying to put in a higher daily low here. So they put in the low, they're trying to put in a higher daily low, and if they do put in a higher daily low, then they're trying to change the trend back in the favor of the bulls, and that should take Walmart back up over 146.53, which would be confirmation that the bulls have changed the trend back in their favor. So 139.75, I'm waiting for Walmart tomorrow. Zoom, perfect sell this morning, guys. We jumped in this one on Friday. We had 3 layers this morning. We were selling them for 500, 400, and 300%. So why did I sell? Just right off the open, I knew right away there's too much of a gap up. If they wanted this to go higher in the morning, I would have loved to see sideways here. I don't want to see it come crash down to the pre-market lows. That's a sign of everyone's taking profit. No one trusts the stock yet. So as soon as we got that little bounce, we started selling everything. Right at open, we sold a bunch. And just sideways all day. We closed near the low of the day. This is not strength. This is not what you want to see in a bounce in a stock that just came off lows in a downtrend. So again, all these plays that we're playing, remember guys, we're in a downtrend. So when profits come, you have to take them quick. We're fighting the trend here. Until Zoom puts in a higher daily low and takes out the higher high, we're still in a very clear downtrend. So what we need to see on Zoom to actually swing, in my opinion, would be, this is the low right here. We put in a high right here, obviously, today. And then we need to put in a higher low here, above this low of 175. So want it to stay above 175, want it to consolidate 1-2 days, and then we can possibly jump in for a move over today's highs. It would probably go over 205 if they want to change the trend in favor of the bulls. So great sell this morning, great play overall. I mean, in 2 days, you're getting 500, 400, and 300%. You can't really ask for much more than that. And obviously you can if you're greedy, but I'm very happy with my sell. The trading today was pretty good. So Docu we had on the newsletter. I put it as a trade of the week just because I love that 156 level. Obviously, Zoom outperformed Docu on Friday. We crushed that one. I didn't get to focus on Docu, but over the weekend I started looking at it. If it got over Friday's high of 156, I was going to jump in. And in this morning, we had that rip. So what I did was, it showed strength. You see these 2 candles right here. So I put in a big red candle just like Zoom. I was watching both of them side to side. Big red candles off open like Zoom. Then an inside candle. It was an inside green candle here on Zoom. Inside green candle on Docu. What Docu did on that inside green candle was it broke up. This is where I entered my 156 calls. I entered early because it went through the pre-market high. And Zoom broke that inside green candle to the downside. So I exited all my Zoom here, entered Docu 156 calls here at 320, sold half of them for 450, came back down, tested my 156 level again. I added back what I had. My new average was around 338, 339, and it couldn't hold 156, so I knew I had to cut it. So I cut it all for 350, just 10 cents gain on the profit. Obviously, money-wise, it wasn't the best trade I've ever done, but just trading-wise, you have to realize it was a good trade in our point. What we did was, it would have been very easy for me, because of how badly we crushed Zoom on Friday, to just hold Docu. I would have been like, oh, it's just going to retest a little lower, and then it's going to hold back up. But since I had my preparation, I was ready. The 156 was the only number that mattered to me. As soon as we broke 156 and held below it, I sold for a 10-cent gain. It's a very good trade. Sometimes it doesn't matter how much money you make on it. It just reinforces, like, you did the right thing, stopped out. But other than that, I mean, these stocks, this is not the type of price action you want to see. If Biden was actually going to boost any stay-at-home stocks, this is not the price action you want to see. So Zoom, Docu, T-Doc, they're probably off my screen now. We'll start looking into other plays. Melly, big ripper off the open, just dangling around 1200. It's having a really hard time getting through 1200. If you guys have been watching it lately, it's just kind of hanging out there. But it is changing the trend. It's trying to change the trend, like I said. So it put in a low, put in a higher low, put in a higher high here, put in another higher high. So now, if this is a low today, like another low, I mean, right here, then it should go up and it should take out 1260. And if it goes up and takes out 1260, that means the bulls changed the daily trend back in their favor. For right now, it could still be a bear flag. Why do I say that? Just because of the amount of dump and the amount of downtrend it's in. But again, they're trying to change the trend, and that's all we can really hope for right now, because a lot of stocks are in an ugly downtrend, and we are playing counter trend on a lot of these. PFE, I cut those puts this morning. Why did I cut them? We took out last week's highs. I didn't really, I still believe in the play. I still think it works. But as soon as we took out last week's high of 61.19, I'll just wait for this one, honestly, because the hourly channel that I had drawn, we broke into it this morning, and I was just worried in my head. I was like, maybe I'm just being stubborn with this play. So we just keep retesting the hourly back channel and rejecting. So right now the puts are still in play. Like whether you want to believe it or not, PFE, the puts are still in play. I'm not in any puts or calls. Why am I not in? The daily is way too extended. The weekly is way too extended for me to take calls. And the puts were just kind of dragging. Like I wanted a big move down, like you guys seen on Moderna and Novavax today. So if you watch Moderna, we opened up today at 322.80. We closed today at 275, guys. So that's like almost a 50-point move from high to low on Moderna. You got Novavax, which went from almost 250 this morning. So we were at 246 this morning, and we closed at 200. So almost a $50 move down on NVAX, and then you have Pfizer, which barely moved down, right? So Pfizer is the strongest of the vax, but still, I'm not going long this name yet. It's way too extended for me. Good luck if you are in, and puts might work, they might not work. I might jump back in, I might not jump back in. I'm not sure yet. I'm just being very, very patient because right now the market's in no man's land. SE, we jumped in some calls at the close. Why did I jump in calls at the close? Just because everything's like overdone over the weekend. We had big gap downs everywhere. SE is one of the weakest stocks. We held Friday's lows, which was at 201.13. So we did hold Friday's lows. We got an inside date today. If we take out today's highs, which is 210.25, if 210.25 trades on SE, 210.25, we can have a bigger bounce than we think on SE. Right now, that's not my plan for this play. I do plan to get out tomorrow for a quick 50-60%. But let's see where we open. Let's see if we get the gap up that I'm expecting. And we'll play it from there. I'm not too heavy in that one anyways. I told you guys I'm waiting for A-plus setups to start going heavy in plays. Right now, I'm still taking it small. Airbnb, big rip off the open and then just completely sideways. So this is another thing you guys have to realize. So Airbnb is green and strong today. Obviously, it was added to the NASDAQ. So I kind of ignored this one, but what I did notice is DAL was green, CCL was green, BA is probably green, BA looks like it wants to go. So all these reopening plays are green today, whereas ZM and DOCU are super weak. That kind of gives you a clue as to what Biden's going to say tomorrow. He's going to say, most likely he's going to say, we're not going to stop the reopening, we're going to go ahead with it, we're just going to take more restrictions, only the unvaccinated people will have problems. So it kind of gives you a hint as to what's going to happen tomorrow. And if he does say that, a lot of these reopening plays, I think actually Boeing would be a good play here. I think if T looked at this chart, he would like it as well. Obviously, there's not too much support around or anything. But if what they're showing today is showing their hand on the reopening plays, BA could have a big bounce. I think CCL has a big move coming. Especially it took out all of last week's highs all in one day. So CCL 339. And it's doing exactly what I just showed you guys. Remember what I told you? In a downtrend, the bulls have to change the trend back in the favor of the bulls. So they put in a low, and now they're putting in a higher low. They put in a high, and now if they get over $20, if CCL gets over $20, they've changed the trend back in the favor of the bulls, and then they will continue to put in higher lows and higher highs, or try to at least. So pay attention to the CCL. If we get over 20 bucks, this one can have a big move. We are down a lot from the highs. Even the recent highs were at like 27.39. So about a $7 move from that $20 level. So pay attention to the reopening plays, in my opinion. Here's Uber. It kind of falls in the middle. It's both a reopening and a COVID play, kind of. Uber Eats for COVID and ride transportation for reopening. So right now, what I've noticed in Uber is it's up 5 days in a row. While the market was taking a dump, like market looked awful for 5 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So market did this, while Uber did this. Right, so nice little bounce off support here. We closed almost at 40 bucks. I would have loved to close over 40 bucks. But I've seen huge flow in this one for January. The CEO said they just had their best week ever. So I'm watching very, very closely on this one. We already made 100% on the $40 calls for Jan. I rolled into the 42.5s for Jan for the same price, just with profits. Again, I don't want to take anything too heavy here. It's too tricky. Is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? Both are possible. We could see an all-time high on SPY. Before we dump, we could see that's the top for a year or two on SPY. Like it's literally that weird of an environment right now. So until it clears up and gives me some clear direction, I will not be taking heavy plays. But any Uber, with the huge flow, with the strength, with the 5 days, with the market going up, down, doesn't matter, Uber's green. So watch for this one. If we get through this level right here on Uber, which is the previous high, it's the same kind of setup. It's a double bottom, right? Double bottom, and now we're right at the highs. So if Uber gets through $40.22, if you see today it stopped at 40.15, 40.22 would send this one for follow through. So let's just write it down here. We got 40.22, and above 40.22 we can even run all the way back here to 46. So right now just watch for a move up to the top of this little channel I have drawn here, which would be around 44 and no 45ish, around 45ish. If we get through 40.22, I think we go to 45, and if we break through the top of the channel, then there's a lot more upside here. So let's see what happens tomorrow. I do expect a little bit of a bounce now, especially with that huge gap down over the weekend. Most of the news is priced in. If we get any type of good news about Omicron, then I think the market's ready to bounce very hard. So thank you guys for attending. I'll see you guys tomorrow.